I am making a Dracotail Thunder Dragon deck profile. Well, I came up with the idea because I was trying to think of what I can put in Thunder Dragon to play it again. For some reason, I could only think of like Chaos Bestial Thunder Dragon. There, and then one of my friends just said, "Why not mix it with Dracotail?" And I realized that he's a genius because the Thunder Dragons make it so that when you get paired against Yummy, then you have something you can fuse with and be able to get advantage with whenever they end with a Herald of the Arclight. But also the fact that the deck now has a ton of monsters, so there shouldn't be any time in the game where you have no monsters in your hand. So starting off with the monsters, I play 3 copies of Dracotail Mululu. Dracotail Mululu is a once per turn main phase quick effect to fusion summon. And then if it's sent to the graveyard, or all the Dracotails have the effect if they're sent to the graveyard, you can set a Dracotail spell or trap from your deck. But the dragons in particular also have a second thing, where Mululu will has the option to non-target and negate the effects of one monster on the field. However, the Dracotails only trigger when they are sent to the graveyard as material. Next, I play 3 copies of Dracotail Lucius. And then one other thing real quick is all the Dracotails are hard once per turns. And then Lucius is just when it's normal or special summoned, you can add a Dracotail from your monster from your deck to your hand. And then you can set a spell trap when it uses material. 3 copies of Femina. Femina is the main one you have to want to have in your hand. As Dracotail Femina that has the effect of during the main phase quick effect, you can send it to the graveyard so you can fusion summon a monster using monsters from your hand or field as material. Next, I play 2 copies of Dracotail Urgula. Urgula has the effect that if it's sent to the graveyard as material, then you can set a Dracotail spell or trap, and then you can non-target destroy a spell or trap card on the field. And then if I remember correctly, Urgula and Pan have 2 different graveyard effects I always forget about. Where if Urgula is in your graveyard, you can target a spellcaster Dracotail in your graveyard, place this card at the bottom of the deck, and if you do, add that monster to your hand. And then Pan, which I play 2 copies of Dracotail Pan to end off the Dracotail monsters for now. I say for now because in Doom of Dimensions, Dracotail gets another trap and another monster. But Dracotail Pan lets you non-target destroy a monster on the field when it's used as material after you set a Dracotail spell trap. And then while it's in the graveyard, to remember what it is, while this card's in your graveyard, except during the damage step, you can place this card at the bottom of the deck if you do special summon 1 non-fusion Dracotail monster from your graveyard. So Urgula can return a spellcaster Dracotail to your hand. Pan lets you summon a non-fusion Dracotail from your graveyard. I just have to remember that they have those grave effects. And then moving on to the Thunder Dragon cards, I play 3 copies of Thunder Dragon Matrix. All the Thunder Dragon cards, except for Thunder Dragon, have 2 separate effects. One that can be activated by discarding from your hand, and another that activates when it's sent to the graveyard or banished by card effect. And you can only use one of those 2 effects per turn, once per turn. So with Matrix, you can discard it to target a Thunder monster and increase attack by 500. Attack and defense, I believe. It's been a while since I last actually read Matrix. Okay, it's just attack. Or if Matrix is banished or sent to the graveyard by card effect, you can add another Matrix from your deck to your hand. So with this, you can either discard to increase the Thunder monster's attack, or you can use its effect to search. But you cannot do both in the same turn. Next, I play 3 copies of Thunder Dragon. Thunder Dragon just lets you discard to add up to 2 copies of another Thunder Dragon from your deck to your hand. So if one's in your hand, you can discard to add 2 more, up to 2 from your deck. Well, usually the way Thunder Dragon works, you want to add 1, discard it, add another, discard it, add the third. Because it gets more Thunder monsters in your graveyard for, well, Thunder Dragon shenanigans. Next, I play 3 copies of Thunder Dragon Dark. Thunder Dragon Dark has 2 effects, where it's a quick effect, just like Matrix is, to just discard it to then add another Thunder Dragon Dark from your deck to your hand. or if Dragon Dark is sent to the graveyard or banished by card effect, you can add a Thunder Dragon card from your deck to your hand. And then probably the one I like the most in this deck, honestly, is 3 copies of Thunder Dragon Hawk. Thunder Dragon Hawk has the effect that you can discard it to summon a Thunder Dragon monster that's banished on your graveyard. I believe that's what it does, because that could be the other effect. Yeah, you special summon a Thunder Dragon that is banished on your graveyard, but return it to the hand at the end of the turn. And then if it's banished by sent to the graveyard or banished by card effect, you can then use its effect to take any number of cards from your hand, shuffle them into the deck, and draw the same number of cards. Next, I play 3 copies of Thunder Dragon Roar. Thunder Dragon Roar lets you discard it to add one of your Thunder Dragon cards that's banished on your graveyard to your hand, or if it is sent to the graveyard or banished by card effect, then you can summon a Thunder Dragon monster from your deck. And then that's it for the Thunder Dragons. For the hand traps, it's just 3 copies of Molcharmi Perulia, this card, and 3 copies of Molcharmi Fuwalos. So both the Molcharmis work by you can only discard them while you have no cards on your field, and then when your opponent summons from a specific place, you get to draw a card. Fuwalos lets you draw whenever your opponent summons from deck or extra deck, and Perulia lets you draw whenever your opponent normal or special summons from their hand. But then they both have the same effect of during the end of the turn, if you have more cards than your opponent has on their field plus 6 in your hand, so if your opponent ends their turn with 3 cards in play, but you have 15 cards in hand, then you will have to randomly shuffle 6 cards from your hand back into the deck. Since your hand is more than your opponent has plus 6, you shuffle the difference back into the deck at the end of the turn at random. However, I've only had that actually matter once, and it shuffled back a card that didn't matter, honestly. But that's it for the monsters. Moving on to the spells, real quick, I believe the deck size is 44 cards, and there's only 10 spells and traps, so I like this because it's 34 monsters, which one of the Draco Tale cards really likes having a lot of monsters in hand. Moving on to the spells, I play 2 copies of Thunder Dragon Fusion. Thunder Dragon Fusion lets you fusion summon a Thunder Fusion monster by shuffling its materials from Field, Grave, and Banish back into the deck. Field, Grave, and face-up Banish cards. And then if this card's in the graveyard, except for the turn it was sent there, you can banish it to add a Thunder Dragon card from your deck to your hand. And you can only use each effect of it once per turn, which that's the thing I like about this card, is that unlike the rest of the Thunder Dragon monsters, it is not a once per turn effect. It's just it's not one of the 2 per turn. It's 1 per turn. Actually, I think it's only once per turn is the... Yeah. Ignore what I just said. The only once per turn this card is its effect to add a Thunder Dragon. So you can activate 1 if you already have the second one in your graveyard. Fusion summon, banish one that's already in grave, search, use Thunder Dragon Roar, discard to add the banished Thunder Dragon Fusion to your hand. Then you can theoretically activate the second Thunder Dragon Fusion and summon a second Thunder Dragon Fusion monster. Next, I play 3 copies of Ketu Dracotail. Ketu Dracotail lets you add a Dracotail monster from your deck to your hand, and if your opponent has a monster, you can then you can then fusion summon a monster. Next, I play 3 copies of Rahu Dracotail. Rahu Dracotail lets you fusion summon a Dracotail fusion monster by using monsters from your hand. I believe it's hand, field, and deck. Yeah, hand, deck, or field. So, usually if I use this, I'll fuse from deck and then just use whatever's in hand, because both Dracotail fusion monsters require at least 1 monster from your hand, so The funny thing, another thing I like about the Dracotail cards is that it's really hard to know what to ash with them, because they have like 3 or 4 cards that can be ashed, and if one gets ashed, you go, oh no, so anyway, I still have the others. And then for the traps, I play 1 copy of Dracotail Flame and 1 copy of Dracotail Horn. So both of these have their effect where they target a card in the field, do something to it, and then you can shuffle a Dracotail card, or shuffle. Place a Dracotail card that's banished or in your graveyard, and put at the bottom of the deck to draw 1 card. Flame will let you target a spell or trap card on your opponent's side of the field, negates effects till the end of the turn, then you do that, and then Horn will let you target an attack position monster your opponent controls and return it to the hand. That is it for the main deck. Like I said, the main deck is 44 cards with 2 traps, 8 spells, and 34 monsters. If I change it, I might, unless it's like Thunder Dragon ratios, I might take the Charmies out for another Flame, another Horn, and then probably the Triple Tactics card or package. 3 Thrust and 1 Talent. And then for the extra deck, I play 3 copies of Dracotail Gulamel. I thought about playing 1 Gulamel and then playing what was it? I think it was some Summer Summoner and the Thunder Dragon Link monster, or not that one. It was either the Thunder Dragon Link or the Unchained Abomination, which I was leaning closer to Abomination. But then I realized I had to just add 3 solar to the deck just to make that engine work. So for now I'm playing 3 of these, but I might bump this down to 1 so I can play 2 Link monsters for the Thunder Dragon engine. Mainly because Abomination and Thunder Dragon, I always forget if it's the one I think it is. Because Abomination and Titan are actually really mean together, and I think it's funny. But anyway, Gulamel has the effect that once per turn, if you activate a Dracotail card or effect, if your opponent doesn't activate anything in response to it, then you can use Gulamel to target 1 card on your opponent's field and destroy it. And then its next effect is shared by the other Dracotail fusion monster, which is if 2 or more Dracotail monsters are sent to your graveyard at the same time, you can special summon this card from your graveyard but banish it when it leaves the field. Which I did find out includes if it gets returned to hand. Next, I play 3 copies of Dracotail Arthalion. Dracotail Arthalion has the effect that when it's fusion summoned, you can target cards on the field or in the or you can target monsters on the field or in the graveyard up to the number of monsters from your hand to use to fusion summon it. Return those targets to the hand. And then it has the same grave effect as Gulamel. But I do like this card in this version of the deck just because, unless you're using a Molcharmy, everything you fuse with will be able to start a chain. So I think the most I've ever gotten with this is a chain 5 in the graveyard and then chain 6 Arthalion. Honestly, because of how Dracotail works, I can easily see Abyss Dweller coming back to 1 in case Dracotail ever becomes too big a problem. Anyway, that's it for the Dracotail fusions. So for the Thunder Dragon fusions, I play 3 copies of Thunder Dragon Colossus. I actually did a little testing with this deck, and I actually made people rage quit online. I think I was using Dueling Nexus, but it's actually funny how I'll wait till my opponent activates something to search, and I'll go, okay, great, chain Femena, fuse Thunder Dragon with this other Thunder Dragon monster in my hand, summon Colossus, and then they just quit because they can't do anything because they have to be able to search. Because Thunder Dragon Colossus just makes it so that your opponent cannot add cards from the deck to the hand except by drawing them. And then if Colossus will be destroyed by battle or card effect, you can banish a Thunder monster from your graveyard instead. And then next, I play 3 copies of Thunder Dragon Titan. Titan just requires 3 Thunder Dragon monsters to make it. And then just like with Gulamel, if you activate the effect of a Thunder Dragon card, the effect of a Thunder monster in your hand, and your opponent doesn't respond to it, then Titan can activate to destroy one card your opponent controls. The difference between Gulamel and Titan is that Titan is not once per turn, whereas Gulamel is. And then if Thunder Dragon Titan would be destroyed by card effect, then you can banish 2 cards from your graveyard instead. Then for the last 3 cards of the extra deck, I play 1 copy of Secretarian Dragon. This is mainly in here because it can use its effect to just be an extender for Dracotail, where it lets you target a dragon and a spellcaster in your graveyard, summon one, and place the other at the bottom of the deck. The Secretarian is also good for the mirror match, as it is a super poly target, and then it also makes it so that your opponent cannot activate the effects of dragons or spellcasters on their field. The only other downside it has is that it loses 100 attack for each of your banished cards, which realistically, unless you are playing against a Herald of the Arclight, shouldn't be very many. Which even then, Thunder Dragon Fusions lets you recycle your banished Thunder Dragon cards, so it still technically could work. Then I play 1 copy of Mysterion the Dragon Crown. I actually like using this against decks like Yummy, where almost everything they do is a single type. Because if I have this on the field and my opponent doesn't know what it does, and they activate Obedience School, they can summon their 3 Yummies. But then this will activate on their summons as Chainlink, usually it will be Chainlink 4 at most. But then the Yummies will let them do whatever they want. But first, this will end up banishing all beast monsters from your opponent's side of the field, or from the field. Because if your opponent special summon, I think I'm pretty sure I did that scenario wrong. Never mind. I got that wrong. I was thinking of Chain Disappearance and confusing it with this. Anyway, what this actually does is when your opponent activates a monster effect that summons itself, on the resolution, Mysterion can activate its effect to banish all monsters on the field of the same type as that monster. And the Yummies just happen to have effects that let them summon themselves. And then it has the same attack decrease as Secretarian Dragon, where it loses 100 attack and defense for each of your banished cards. And then the last card is just because I think it's really good in this deck, and that's Guardian Chimera. Guardian Chimera has the effect that when it's fusion summoned, you can destroy cards your opponent controls up to the number of monsters from your field that you used, and then you can draw cards to the number of monsters in your hand to use to summon it. It requires at least 1 monster from your field, and 1 monster from your hand, requiring 3 monsters with different names. And that is it for the extra deck. The main changes I was thinking of is I might take 3 cards out of the extra deck for a Summer Summoner, SP Little Knight, and Unchained Abomination. Maybe also an SP or an IP Masquerena instead of the Summoner. Which honestly I'd probably do that instead, because the Summoner is just in case I want to make the Thunder Dragon Link 4, but that's in Thunder Dragon. But there's a few changes I might make. If you have any ideas of what I can do to improve the deck, any ideas for decks like to see face each other down below. Like if you want to see this play against Yummy or Vanquish Soul Canine, I have friends who have those decks. Or if you'd like to see other decks be made in the future, feel free to comment below anything you'd like. I always read the comments. Thank you for watching.